I'm DaRon.
And I'm Roniel. The issue of being a computer scientist, developer, system admin, or network admin, you come home, you want to shut off and live your life. But if you have all of these things around you, then you have to be the one to fix them. And especially with your family and people asking, well, I don't, if they don't know it, can you fix that? Oh, guess what? The door lock thing broke.
Right.
Can you fix that? The whatever. The printer broke. This. I mean, I don't know really why they would be using switches and routers. I mean, I guess the router, but the switches and stuff. But I mean, you don't want to come home and do that shit all day. I mean, you kind of already work
Right.
enough, but to be on your all time and have to worry about that as well. No.
Yeah. Yeah. That is exactly what it comes down to. I already have to deal with the my wife who's non-technical. My computer doesn't work. Well, why doesn't your computer work? What did you do to your computer? I don't administer your computer. I don't touch it. I don't do anything to your computer. How did you break it? and and then I had to figure out what silly thing she touched that she shouldn't have touched because it broke everything, or the printer isn't working. I'm going, I don't use the printer. What do I care that the printer is not working? No, she prints all the time for her job, so that's one of her big things. She's a daycare worker, and she prints out activity sheets. She likes to make a lot of crafts and things like that. So she prints out a lot of activity sheets and because she absolutely loves kids, which is phenomenal, and I'm glad she's able to do something that she likes career wise. I wish more people did because it would make them much happier, but as a result, she uses the printer a fair bit, and it's constantly something will have happened and I will have to fix it, or paper jammed in it. And so now I have to go through and take it apart and fix it. And it becomes very cumbersome, very bothersome after a while, and it kind of turns you off. Not to technology. I still absolutely love the field. I've been doing this since 2000 as far as professionally is concerned. I love the field. I don't want a lot of things that will break in my life that I have to deal with, that I have to troubleshoot. I want like I said, so I have all these routers and switches and things of that nature, but I turn them on to play with them. I don't turn them on and keep them on to maintain my network because my network is fairly non-complex. My network is fairly slimmed down, and for the most part, it's relatively standard for a small business. Actually, is what I run, the small business stuff. So
Yeah, I don't really do that stuff. Shoot, I barely even play games when I get time on my off time. I mean, no, I don't really do any of that.
yeah,
No mess around. I don't have well, I mean, I do have phones that the battery comes out, but I don't really have like the flip phones.
yeah, yeah,
That probably would have been something I would actually keep because of how I'm gonna say. I mean, I don't know. I feel more comfortable with a flip phone than an iPhone more days because of you know all of the issues around those smartphones. But basically, now I don't do that. I get tired of actually having to be the one to do everything.
right,
I'm kind of called on to do everything because people feel because you have a computer science degree, an engineering degree, or whatever that you can do all of these things, or you're a cybersecurity person, don't you know how to fix this? Well, I got out of computer repair and all of these other things, so I could do not have to do that anymore. So why the
right,
hell am I still doing it?
right,
And because I was an electronic technician or these things, people think, oh, my TV's broken. Can you fix it? I don't want to do that shit. I
right,
stopped doing that a while ago.
right.
I can do it, but I don't want to do it.
Right. That's one of the big things to me is I look back and I say I've done the I've done the low level work. I'm done with the low level work in general. I know that this stuff is insecure, so why would I want a a dishwasher that I'm never going to use the smart functionality, and I'm not the kind of guy who wants to expose my network to this because, as you know, your smart refrigerators, your smart microwaves, your smart dishwashers, your smart laundry machines and dryers, all this good stuff, they are all incredibly insecure. They just are.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, everything that plugs into the internet is insecure, which is why we have the Internet of Things. And I don't think people understand that. And even though I love all of that stuff, it's good to tinker around with. And if I had some of it, it would be
Right.
me hacking it. But it's not really good. Like even if I love it just because you can do it and you've seen it on TV, I know how insecure it is, and that's a lot of stuff to actually have to secure, especially like the cameras and stuff. The smart,
Yes.
those
Yes.
cameras and stuff you got to protect and secure those. Those are horrible. Every all of these things are not meant. They people don't know that they manufacture this stuff and everything is not secure by design.
Right.
So it's like it's shipped insecure.
Right.
They don't care that whether it's secure or not. The only thing they want to do is make sure they have a product that works.
Right.
And
Yes.
now it's on you as a consumer to make sure that your product is set up right and secure, um, and all that great stuff. But other than that, they don't give a crap. Like that's on you.
Yeah.
If you get hacked, that's on you, not my fault.
Yes. Yes. That is a huge complaint that I happen to have with a lot of that industry. The manufacturing industry wants to embed a lot of technology into their products. It's pointless technology. By and large, it's pointless technology. But they don't want to take the time to understand the risks of all of those products. And there are risks inherent to any design decision, any technology that you add in. They don't want to know about it because if they know about it, they have to do something about it. So they don't. And as a director, we see this with all kinds of industries. We've discussed before, I believe, the banking industry, so FinTech. Everyone, oh my god, one of the most insecure industries I've ever come across. Every single time I've dealt with anything tied to banks, it has been insanely, obscenely insecure. And then when you point out that it's insanely insecure, the banks will drop you. I did work for a major bank here. It's actually in the top five here across the. Actually, it's in the top five in the world, and
Hmm.
it's nearby here. And I beat the daylights out of them. The we handed over the report. The C level looked at it. It was the CEO. He looked at it with the CIO, as in he looked at the title page, and then they stuck it in a drawer. I've had others where they took it and immediately threw it in the trash. And then I've had others who argued findings with me after I rooted their servers. They then goaded me on saying I needed to provide proof, more proof than I already had, which was obscene because I already had a lot of proof in there. And then they were very unhappy when we gave them the final report that included all the proof that they had wanted and more. They were very unhappy because they couldn't talk the finding down. That was the big thing. They either want to not see it so they don't have to deal with it because they have to fix it if they know about it, or they want to be able to say, well, this actually was insignificant. And when you provide proof that it's not insignificant, they get mad and they drop you as a provider.
Oh, that's funny. Well, drop me, but I worked in several different banks and know how insecure they are, which it's funny. And everybody talks about it. It's funny because they don't have a lot of revolutionary technology,
Right.
but they have some things that are out there that's for part of finance and or financial tech, and it's all insecure. But one of the main places, because like I told you, majority when I started was in electronics. So I worked for places that did had relays, SCADA, utility companies that built lights and power supplies and stuff like that. And it was just amazing how insecure, which is why I always just laugh at, because I'd worked there. I was the IT person, and then I'm looking at the security, and I'm like, "Hey, you guys are vulnerable here." I mean, it's just amazing, and they think that there's no way they can be hacked.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna come after them. And I'm like, think again, like when you have passwords like that start with like your favorite food, is
Right.
ridiculous. It, and people just think that it won't happen, and I'm like, but it will. But most of my time was spent in those manufacturing companies and SCADA and utility companies that did not really think they would be, and they don't care. And a lot of them they start off small and then they become big, and then they still use the same tactics, and their IT is a joke.
Right.
And then they also use these third party companies who don't really know what they're doing, and they're even worse. So
Yes.
it's like you think about this stuff and people think that, oh, this IoT, OT, SCADA, ICS, this is difficult to do. It's really not. I mean, a lot of them all use default passwords
Right.
or insecure passwords. And how do you think the hackers are getting in majority of the time? It's not through some crazy ass exploit, these 0 day stuff that everybody's thinking. Why would they want to burn a 0 day on something that they know is easily able to, you're able to penetrate? Like, why would I do that? I mean, nobody's really getting in that way, you
Yes.
know. And I think that's that facade that people think what they see on TV. Yeah, like Mr. Robot, you're getting in doing this and that and that. No, it's actually, something very simple.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
so simple that it's stupid.
Yes. That's true. That's really true. One of the I mean, on an engagement you and I were recently on, I gave you a hard time over a finding tied to default and weak
Always,
passwords. Yes,
always.
it's true, but it's deserved.
Yeah.
but but I gave you this hard time over it because it was a very, I mean, it's a very non-technical thing. You managed to do great work with it and compromise critical infrastructure, and that was phenomenal. However, it was non-technical. The joke, though, exactly to your point, because you've seen it, is most of the major compromises you see today involve default or weak passwords. It's still a huge issue. It's going to continue to be a huge issue. And moving to multi-factor doesn't resolve it because you still have service accounts. And those are not protected by multi-factor because it can't be. And you can't do passwordless with the service account in an efficient, clean, clear manner. And even if you do, at the end of the day, you still have to have backup accounts in case there's a problem with your multi-factor or passwordless authentication service, in case it's out or what have you. And you see that even if you're going with Microsoft Azure, so Microsoft Active Directory, and you're using their multi-factor, they still tell you to create at least 2 accounts. Typically, they want 3 that are backup accounts in case you get locked out or in case there's a service disruption and you cannot access them. So at the end of the day, attackers still have something to go for. And as you probably saw from the stuff that I pulled off of there, we had backup accounts, we had service accounts, we had everything. So,
Yeah, it was a lot. Again, it was kind of funny to me that their critical infrastructure would even have default, but after seeing that a lot of the critical things that they quote that was critical that was out there that actually was using default accounts, I'm like, well, then everything is using default accounts,
right,
majority, because it's like, why?
right,
And just to talk back on something even further, like a lot of the botnets and stuff that people think is difficult, they're actually searching for default accounts. They, especially with routers, like how many uh, home, as you we were talking about with homes, how many home routers that are still in default admin. I
right,
mean,
right,
you know, these default accounts are being used, and all you really have to do, all an attacker is doing, is putting a list together and then going around and searching for all of these accounts and then adding them to their botnet. And then that way they can use that botnet to either take down things, to do whatever they want to. And that would be the same way here. These guys would have got in, used it for their command control servers or botnets or whatever they wanted to do. And then now they could sell it to the highest bidder.
Right.
you know,
Yes.
and that's kind of what happens. So I mean, it's just crazy, and it's something as simple as that, but normally that's what it is. A lot of the attackers are not using something very sophisticated. It could be default password, weak credentials, backdoors. It could be some SQL injection, maybe, you know, just things that are just not as complicated as you may think that are common.
Right.
It's not very fancy as you would think. Some people think, oh, they did this and changed this and did that and pulled this, and I mean, you can go there, but that's not
They don't need
really.
to.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But that's the stuff you see coming from the researchers and the bug bounty people. We're like, oh, let's change this and change this, but you don't understand why they did that. In order to make money, you have to chain different vulnerabilities to make this to get the severity to be higher to
Right.
show what they can do. Why would I want to do that?
Right.
Do I need to chain? If I can bypass this and get in here, I don't give a shit about chaining this. I don't care. The whole goal for me is to get into your system and then find a way to pivot to different other system and see what I can get out of it. What critical data do you have that I can get that I can sell out? Or attackers, not me, but attackers want to figure out how they can make money off of the data that they get from you. That's our time. I'm Roniel.
I'm DaRon.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel for more episodes like this one. Until the next time.
Have fun.